Yeah, I'm live. It seems like I'm live. If you're able to hear me and to see me, please let me know. Please write a plus in the comments. What is happening? Okay, great. I'm able to see myself on my phone. Yeah, here we go. So I guess the tour has been started. So again, let me know again if you're able to see me, if you're able to hear me. Please write a plus in the comments, and then I'm going to introduce myself and tell you about this talk, about this tour. What makes it special? What we are going to do today? Great. I'm really happy to see all of you today. Thanks a lot for joining me. I guess it's been a while. Maybe for some of you, it's your first time with me on my channel. So, welcome everyone. My name is Tanya Neyman. I've been working as a tour guide for over 7 years, and I do all types of tours. I show the highlights of Moscow and actually other cities, and I also have hidden gems on my tours. I talk about Russian history, Russian culture, Russian architecture, design, and more. I'm a huge fan of literature and Russian literature in particular. I have my book club and I do tours and talks about greatest Russian novels. One of the upcoming tours will be about crime and punishment. So if you're curious and want to learn more, you can go to my YouTube channel and find a big variety of videos on various topics. And you can also go to my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can also learn about upcoming tours. You can subscribe to it. So I constantly write posts about new tours. So this way, like you'll be able to receive messages. Neil, lovely room, hotel. No, it's not. Honestly, it's just a picture. I decided not to show where I am. Actually, I mean, this background I used for a previous tour, so a previous live stream. No, I'm not. But thank you. So, what are we going to do today? I guess some of you already know about this tour, Everyday Life in Moscow. So, generally, I have my gimbal and I walk around the city. It's a live walking tour. So, the reason why I'm not doing it, the main reason, technical issues. I've tried many times with YouTube, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I realized that the best option for me is just to do live streams until I find a better solution. The second reason, it's already cold. It's already winter in Moscow, and it's already dark. So in this talk, we are going to talk about Russian mentality, everyday life, because personally, as a tour guide, as a journalist, someone who has a degree in journalism, I've always been interested in people, in how they live. And, when I do also talks about literature, about history, for me, it's always important to see not only these big historical names, those heroes, but what the life was like, what is behind a certain person, which I think is always interesting. And this is something that is not easy to find. Preparing for this tour, I had read a number of books and articles, and generally there is not that much, even though as a tour guide I can see that a lot of people are interested in what people do and what people eat, think, etc., etc. um, so yes, again, like news are more about like big names, celebrities, and things like that. So my goal is just to show the other side of Russia, the other side of Moscow, something that won't be easy for you, or the majority of people, I guess, to find online. And generally, when I did this tour on Hago, or on YouTube, I wasn't able to answer all of the questions because there were so many. So I was like, hey, maybe at some point we can just have Q&A sessions and I can answer all your questions. So here is the time. If you have any questions, if you're interested in any of for aspects of Russian everyday life, feel free. This way it will be much easier. The link in calendar not good, but from tour is good. So yes, also I want to tell you about like the idea of this tour in terms of like um, how I decided to organize it, so we can be on the same page. As many of you know, I stopped doing team supported tours after the demise of Higo. Like I tried it for a few months and then it just didn't work. Like on some of the tours, I wasn't able to make even like, I don't know, $5. But generally, it takes a lot of preparation. It takes much more preparation now than with Higo, because with Higo, I just had to like um, publish a tour once and then to press a few buttons, and I didn't have to worry about promotion. A lot of things we start appreciating once we lose them. So then I had tours for smaller groups, and I really appreciate all of you in the chat who kept supporting me, who kept supporting my work, who kept joining tours. But I also realized that there are much more people that would like to still learn about Russia, and for a number of reasons are not able to join them through Buy Me Coffee. So what I did, the reason why I published this tour and Buy Me Coffee is because when it shows the price zero, you're able to set any tip you want. Because generally with Buy Me a Coffee, so this is my first, again, tip supported tour. I hope it works. This model works, and I will be able to continue doing it for a bigger audience. So generally with Buy Me a Coffee, it works that you're able to support with 5 years minimum. But I realized that for some, it's better, to do like 1 or 2 years or whatever price you have for it. Maybe it's like 13. So it's not really 5 years. So, well, again, if you go to my Buy Me a Coffee page, the links are below. Below the tour description and also in the beginning of the chat, then you can set any number you want. And the same goes for PayPal. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And yeah, this will be a very good method for all of us to continue doing tours. So what I wanted to do today, I want to start with the everyday life in Moscow in November, how things are going. And then if you have questions, then I will just go through it. So November. Guess what temperature is in Moscow today, these days? So I'm going to show you if the camera will allow me. It's -8 degrees Celsius. No, it doesn't show me. So the reason why it's not letting me, because I'm using the background, but trust me, it's -8. And then Google shows me that it feels like -14, and it really does. Like in a few days, it can be warmer, feel warmer when there is a lot more snow than during these days. But it's still November, and then it's colder. Neil, I only see the 5 year option. The 5 year, but if you go, I guess it should work with the specific tour. When you go for the specific tour, maybe it should work. In any case, if it's only 5 years, even with the tour where the price is zero and you can change it, you can always go to PayPal, and PayPal is not that strict. So I wanted to talk about temperature because it is really something that affects your everyday life. And these days, I can feel it, how different my life is compared to summer. And many Russians, many Muscovites, many of my friends love saying that, if life was like in summer, yeah, it could be bearable. In November, to have a temperature of -8 that feels like -14 degrees Celsius means that you have less and less opportunities about things to do, about your hobbies, about the way you can relax. Moreover, during this time, the sunset sunset is already at 4 p.m. So those of you that know me from Hago probably remember that I was like, it also affected my schedule. So I was starting tours much earlier than in summer, because it's not always easier um, to do it when with the camera, when it's dark. I'm going to sharing the link for this tour on Pay Buy Me Coffee. Maybe the free kind of like link, maybe it will work for someone. So um, let's talk about how morning starts and the evening, the day in November for many people that I know and more or less mine. But again, I'm not really representative person in sense that I have a kind of like a freelancer. I'm a tour guide. This job is very different from everyone's else. So normally people work from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., which means that you probably wake up during the time when it's dark. So some people wake up, especially in winter. Now it's still not that short as in winter. So you might wake up when it's dark. You go to work, and then you come back home when it's already dark. So you don't really see that much sun, and there is a lack of sun in general, especially by the way in St. Petersburg. Uh, I recently read that in November or like in November there was only like 15 minutes of sun in St. Petersburg or something like that. So it's really a short, a limited period of time. So you wake up. Well, let's say if you need to go to work, if your work is at 9, you have to get to work at 9. Then you probably wake up at 7 or 6:30 a.m. Why? I mean, you need to prepare as everywhere else in the world. What do people eat for breakfast? For the next class, for the next talk, I'm going to prepare some pictures. I'm going to prepare my presentation. If you enjoy this format, if you think it's an interesting one, so I can prepare it. But I guess, I mean, you can picture it. So it's more like about eggs, omelet. It can be a sandwich, just a slice of bread, slice of cheese, and things like that. And then you need to spend at least 1.5 hours to get to work. This is the average for many people because Moscow is big. Moscow is huge. So this is something that really affects your everyday life. In sense that if you have a car, there's a lot of traffic, and sometimes like you can be stuck in this traffic for 2.5 hours. And a lot of people wake up even earlier so they can avoid this traffic and just get to work. I don't know, at 6. So it's much better. And again, as a tour guide, you can also see it because when you do like bus tours or tour Moscow by car tours, I mean, in the tours for 4 hours, you can see like how there are more and more cars. This is one thing. Subway is the number one transport in Moscow. Nearly 60% of people use subway daily. The highest number, the record was 9,700,000 people per day used Moscow metro. So it's really a lot of people. It's bigger. It's more than just the population of several countries combined together. And for some people, it's also necessary to get to a subway station, so they would use bus. Um, they would use a bus, which again takes like generally 15 minutes. And then in subway, you spend like 40-50 minutes, again, depending on where you work and things like that. Some people that live in the outskirts of Moscow, like one of my friends, might spend 2 hours on commute and then wait back and forth. How it affects your everyday life. Again, the metro is crowded. You can see the number of people, so it makes you really exhausted. I can say it as a tour guide, like who has a very different lifestyle, who has a very different like life and schedule. That it's much easier for me. Let's say I'm really privileged because I can spend only 20-30 minutes to get to work, to go to for a tour, and then I can start a tour around the time like when there's no traffic there, when there are not that many people. But I remember, those days when I had to spend, all day, in the office, and then you just like go back. It's already dark after like the crowded metro. You don't really want to do much. And what can you do, when it's really cold outside? So, what are the activities in November? Many people consider November not a really like December or February, January to be probably the most depressive month of the year in Moscow. Although, to be fair, all of this month are really depressing because of the lack of sun, because the day is short and it's cold. But November, it's when it all starts. Um, so it's the time when you're not really used to it, and it's just like it's a little bit out of nowhere. Uh, so many people prefer to spend time at home. As what are the options? If you have any ideas, what would you do, or what do you do? Maybe we can actually share some ideas in the chat. I know that probably some of you are from Canada, so you really can relate to it. Uh, when I worked as a tour guide, I shared this joke many times, but it's like a true story. When I did tours in winter and in November again, now the temperature is lower than it can be in like January, February, December, like in winter. And again, it feels colder when in some winter days, and it feels colder than it might be in Siberia. So yeah, so when I had tours, everyone was like, let's go inside, please, let's drink coffee, let's drink a cup of tea. And we had to go inside every 15 minutes. So as a tour guide, as a professional tour guide, you really need to know like all the ways to hide your tourists from this unbearable weather. uh, but the only tourists that were like, what do you mean cold? No, it's absolutely not cold. Were Canadians, because for them it was fine. Like they were absolutely used to this weather conditions. And it's not only about like, being used, that it's nothing shocking for you, but it's also about, proper clothes, knowing that you need to drink a cup of tea. So yeah, we drink a lot of tea. I'd say young people drink mainly coffee. So I don't see any options in the chat. I hope you're still here with me. I don't see any comments. Again, feel free to ask me questions, because this tour, the idea of this tour in particular, was also to give you a chance to all of you who enjoy Everyday Life in Moscow tour to ask me questions about it. Yeah, so number one option would be to go to cinema theater, which is not really the case these days in Moscow because, as you might know, we don't have that many movies, especially like foreign movies. So it's more about like Russian cinema, which again doesn't give you that many options. But still, some people might go to, especially if there is a premiere like these days. If there is a big Hollywood premiere, um, there were some. Um, there were some. Yeah, it's there were some movies like even during these days. So yes, that can be things that people might go to. The second option is to go to a restaurant. That food mall tour you have was nice. Thank you very much. Food mall tour, Danilovsky Market. It is published on my channel, so you can watch and re-watch it. So yes, people can go to markets, people can go to restaurants, cafes, and things like that. But you still need to, like, you still need to leave your apartment. You still need to walk and everything. And this everything like comes to the distances, because even if I want to go to a nice restaurant during these days, well, again, I can, of course, I can order a taxi if I have money. I'm saying, like, as a Muscovite, as a Russian person, and then you just go to a place you want in the place you like. But as an ordinary human being, you still have to go through the same process as with your job, because if you live outside the city center, and most of the people like live outside the city center is not really affordable for the majority of people. Again, Moscow is huge. It is only efficiently 13 million people, and officially it's a lot more. Um, so depending on, like, some sources claim 20 million, up to 20 million people. Therefore, if you want to go to like some place, like, you have to spend 1 hour back and forth. Uh, that is the case. The other option that is popular, my friends, that could be lectures. So many people like going to lectures. And I've mentioned it many times that I can see in Moscow that there's a big, huge, huge interest in education and a huge appreciation of education, um, including excursions, by the way. There are still tours, there are still excursions in Moscow. Older, like, tour guides and tourists themselves try different formats. For example, you can go inside estates, inside mansions, inside museums. So this is something that you can explore. In Moscow, we have over 400 museums. The other option, again, lectures, is that um, they are free, or ones they are those where you can just get the best experts in the field. You can learn about history, mathematics, whatever you want. And I for I think it was for 5 years I worked with the lectures. There are people who prefer, lectures with like wine classes, where you talk about art, and then you can just have a degustation. And then there, the same thing happens with tours. When you go to bars or when you go to restaurants, like on the way, so you still need like places to hide. Moscow weather sounds like Canada. We are expecting snow today. We are. We already have snow. I guess I have to start publishing more photos on my Instagram. If some of you are not subscribed to my Instagram, you can do it. It's in my description. So probably I will, because my friends have been complaining about it. Like, why don't you do it? And I'm like, no, who? No one is interested. But I guess, like, it could be interesting. But I also have some. I also have some tours that I on my YouTube channel that I published, that I did in winter, so you can also see it. And whatever happens, whatever happens, I hope that I will do New Year special this year on my YouTube channel live. Like, so I'm going to announce it. I did it last year. I did a few tours. I did a few specials. I know many of you like specials, and actually we've already started preparing. So Goom, I believe that many of you know about Goom. It's written like gum, but I say it everywhere. This place is too beautiful to be a gum. So with Goom department store, every year they have different decorations, and on my channel, you can find decorations from the previous year. So I published festive Bloom department store, which again is very beautiful. This year it's different. So they actually start decorate, like, they usually start like decorating everything, and they start markets at the end of November, because again, for us, um, it's a bit different with holidays. The main holiday is New Year. This is a Soviet tradition. Uh, And then this is actually something that also affects your everyday life, because New Year is kind of like a very special moment. It's the time when you can recharge yourself, mainly because you have holidays like 11 days where you can just do whatever you want, or drink as much as you want, and drink as much Russian salad as you want. Maybe also I'll do a cooking class. I've been promising it for years, but now I think it will be a good time for me either to do a video or a live stream of cooking Russian salad for New Year. So if you like this idea, let me know in the comments. So um yes, so they start markets. So these markets will be popular a bit later, mainly like in December and January. But you can see that with everything that is happening, they like push it even earlier. So now Goom is already decorated for an average person, high-end shops. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. Again, I have on my YouTube channel, I have a short video which is more about decorations like festive Goom for New Year. And last year it was really beautiful. I like that it was in gel style, and every year it's different. They have also an exhibition of Christmas trees, like every store and some other companies decorated in the Owen style. So it's absolutely amazing. And then I have a longer video, like it's 1 hour. So it's literally my Hego virtual tour about Goom. So that is, no, it's not. But again, like people come, I guess it's everywhere in the world. That you go to like a beautiful shopping mall just to see design, to for this festive atmosphere. And also in case of Goom, they go for ice cream. Like these crazy Russians, they eat ice cream in winter. And I think, not I think, I mean, I remember I started doing this tour on Hego um, many years ago. It was like, how many, 4 years ago. It was in winter, and it was in my neighborhood. You can, I guess you can find these videos if I didn't publish it. Maybe I will, like for now, for a number of reasons it's available for members only of my channel, because I talk about a lot of things that are not may not be welcomed. Well, in any case, so I was passing by a kiosk with ice cream, and I was questioning like myself, like, why do we have ice cream kiosks in winter? Like, why? It's a bit weird. Like, don't you think it's weird? I don't know if you have in your countries. Let me know in the comments. Which, again, I'm actually really curious to know about. Kiosk only with ice cream. I don't think it's very profitable, to sell ice cream, especially in the city like Moscow, because well, you have winter 9 months a year. Of course, people eat a lot of ice cream in summer, but like, what's the profit? So I really made my small research, like reading some articles, some comments, asking my friends and colleagues, like, who likes eating ice cream in winter? And they're like, oh, my husband or my boyfriend likes eating ice cream. And then I found an interview with a lady who works at this kiosk, and she was like, yeah. You know what? It's actually not ladies, it's men who like buying ice cream in winter. So in any case, this some crazy Russians like buying ice cream in winter. But in case of Goom, it's more about nostalgia, because the idea is that it's the same ice cream as Goom was making in Soviet times. I took tour there with you with Hego. Thank you, Neil. Again, if you want to rewatch them or you missed some of the tours, many of them are still available on my YouTube channel. For now, I keep publishing new ones. By the way, I took a break because I'm trying like different things with YouTube. I also want to attract more audience. I guess it will be better for everyone. So I'm just exploring different things. Like I think, like the last videos with the Russian phrases and with the Russian literature. But I'm going to publish more tours, either about new locations, things that I didn't do on Hego. Some mentions, uh, because well, YouTube is different, as you know, from Hego, but it also allows to do new things. Like I can edit videos. So the next one that I want to do on Hego is about Igubnov Mansion, which is one of the most beautiful places in Moscow. And with Hego tour, I'm not really able, to show you interiors. Like I was able to show pictures, but it's still different. I'm not able to write words on the screen. You cannot pause this video. So there is always a good thing, a good side of the coin. I had ice cream in winter in Japan. I can eat ice cream anytime. Okay, Jen, I guess this ice cream kiosks in Moscow are for you. But yeah, I mean, obviously they sell other stuff, so it's also considered like a hair of the dog. It's in English. When you get cold, some people start eating more ice cream. For me, maybe I'm not a very typical Russian person. It's a normal thing. So let's go back to these activities. I didn't find actually any comments in these days. Well, these days, this year, say might be a little bit even more depressive, because shopping is certainly one of the things that women might like doing. But it's not only about many brands that have left Russia, but it's also about the economy. So it's getting more and more towards Netflix, but we don't really have Netflix. So with this kind of like limited options. The other thing that you can do in winter, and this is also one of the things that I do, is to go to gym. When you are not able to walk around the city for a very long period of time, when you cannot go to parks. And if you join my tours in summer, I think you might remember how much I talk about parks. Russians, we love parks. We really, really love parks, because we try to take as much as we can from this short period of time. Like it's called summer, so we have like dancing classes, yoga classes, everything we can. And for now, for winter, more and more people like go, because you need to keep fit, especially if you're a Russian lady, it's important. So you just go to burn calories. Concerts. Thank you, Neil. With concerts, everything comes to the same thing during these days. Um, Sanctions. Sanctions. Whatever you talk about, like all the activities, it is about weather. It is, but it's also about culture, mentality. Um, there are not that many concerts. Why? Because there are not that many artists that are willing to come to Russia, if any, maybe from like countries like Kazakhstan, Ethiopia, or I don't know. There are some countries, but there are certainly no big names. And we don't really know when they will start coming to Russia. But it's not only about foreigners; it's also about Russians, because of the I don't know if I can pronounce the war on YouTube, or anyone will ban me, whatever. But there are many Russian musicians also that fled Russia. So now they perform, because of their position, anti-war position. So now they perform in mainly like in some former Soviet Union countries, but in cities with the big Russian diaspora, um, like Tbilisi, Belgrade, Tel Aviv was one of them. Now I guess, not I guess. I mean, it's also obvious that it's on pause. I'd be happy doing my exercise walking around a museum. Well, sounds like a good idea. Museums are actually getting more and more creative in Moscow in the last couple of years, and the same goes for libraries. And I love libraries, love books, as many of you know. And libraries also organize many events. So just before this tour, I saw an announcement about a lecture on Russian style in architecture. It will be in one of my favorite libraries. So, and it's free. Like the admission is free. So this is amazing. That this is also something that they keep doing, and this is a time that you can devote to your education. So, Uh, to wrap up my talk, our conversation, I always want to end things on a positive note. Again, if you have questions about some other aspects. So today, my goal was to share some thoughts on November, on how life is happening, what is happening in November, what things we can do, and genuinely just to say hi, to welcome you on my channel. Um, but what I want to say is, of course, it's much easier, it's much more pleasant when the sun is shining and you have like white nights, so you can just go anywhere you want all day. Everything works 24/7. By the way, this is a good thing about Moscow, that in the city center, in many places, you can still find a cafe. Yeah, I just want to point it out that traveled, quite a lot, and of course, in some countries, in many places around the world, you have some sort of Shabbat, when things places close either on Saturday or on Sunday, or I don't know, they might be everything might be closed in the morning or in the evening. So some restaurants, some places like Italy, restaurants might work only for might be open only for lunch or dinner, or everything is closed after like 8 p.m. This is not the case with Moscow. Uh, in many places you can find like supermarkets, pharmacies, restaurants, cafes that work 24/7, especially in the city center, which is, a good thing and something that is comfortable. And also about like lifestyle and what happens helps many people. We have very good services, whatever, I talk about in many of my tours about the difficulty, of life, but there are always different aspects. So for now, we have very good services, what I mean, like in beauty industry, in delivery. So we have many companies, and it's really cheap. Like often people don't even need to pay extra for delivery. And you have like so many options. Behind it, of course, this is life of, migrant workers in Moscow, and stories like that. But again, like when you have winter and you're able, to order everything you want, everything you need, everything comes to you. Spending more time at home or in museums. So I guess, to wrap it up, this is the time to devoid to your education, your self development. I guess there are different seasons, but it's important, it's great to find beauty in all the seasons. There are different seasons in our lives. Like what is happening in Russia with Russia is definitely not the brightest moment in Russian history, in the world history. But I believe that through education, we are able to achieve many things to live in a better world. So thank you very much for joining me today, because I hope this is kind of the top that kind of like can connect all of us to build bridges between countries and cultures. And I'm really thankful, to have my voice, thanks to you, to have my audience. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat. I want to say thank to those of you who've already made contributions on Buy Me Coffee or PayPal. I highly appreciate it. Again, I'm able and I will be able to continue live talks and lectures. You can find next lectures about new lectures on my channel. One of them will be about red lights district. I guess I did it only once on Hego, but it will be a bit obviously different from what I had on Hego. So I will be more than happy to see you. And if it works, I mean, this model works for all of us. With the contributions, I'll be able to focus on new tours. And if you are interested, you can also write me your comments about like topics that you'd like me to cover. The good thing about the platform that I'm using, it's called StreamYard, is that I'm able to present, I'm able to share presentations. So next time, I guess I'll try. I'll do a presentation, and I already have some that I prepared for uh, tours during the pandemic. So I can also invest in my time and energy in new ones. Are your opera houses still giving performances? I was in Moscow decades ago. Hillary is writing ago in late December and went to the Bolshoi 3 times. You have some wonderful singers. They are, yeah, there are. So thank you very much, Hillary, for your comment. This is something that I missed, um, although I had it in mind. Similar, cinema theaters and theaters in general. We have nearly 250 theaters in Moscow. Although I have to say that it is not, for everyone, for an average person. It's generally for children, that would go elderly, but people in more, like intelligent or also rich. It depends. Like some people go to Bolshoi, to be fair, just to show off, to show that, I love culture and things like that, because many theaters are not really affordable now. I'd say for a lot of people, and it's not only about affordable, but let's be honest. When people compare, think whether to spend money on a cinema or on theater or to go to a cinema or go to a bar, people will spend this money on a bar. It doesn't mean that it's good and that I support it, but it is what it is, at least in Moscow. Although again, we have a big audience, and opera and specifically ballet were big parts of Russian culture and symbols of Russian culture, and I hope it will stay this way. Although Russian ballet is a bit different, it's quite conservative. So I'll be in Poland over the winter, so lots of museums visits for me, I think. Oh, I love Poland. We actually, one of the tour guide conferences that I joined, I worked for an international company. Maybe some of you know, it was part of Intrepid Group. It's an Australian organization. So the company was called Urban Adventures. So we had a great international conferences. Actually, some of Hego tour guides were also part of it. And one of them was in Krakow in November. And generally, tour guide conferences are in November because it's low season. So that's why I'm also trying to do more virtual tours to restart my channel. Yeah, there are many things to do, and I actually, as a Russian, I really like Polish cuisine, and specifically Krakow is an amazing city for food lovers. So have a great time in Poland. There's also a great Jewish neighborhood in Krakow. I absolutely loved it. It's very nice. It's very creative. So yeah. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Diane, Joyce. Happy Thanksgiving, although we don't celebrate it here. But thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and see you soon. Let me check on my YouTube channel what is going to be my next tour. And yeah, I have many. I remember about so one of them will be also about Russian immigration. I did it, I think, a few months ago. So this will be like a summary about new wave, um, and one of the important tours that I want to do after is about Jewish immigration from Russia. So I haven't announced it yet, but I'm going to do it because this is also one of my majors. And one of the beloved tours on Hego, lessons from Russian literature. So now after Hego, I'm focusing more and more on literature. So I hope you will enjoy this talk because it's still relevant and important. So thank you very much. Love and hugs. If you want to rewatch this video, I hope it will be available on YouTube. But again, thanks a lot for joining. Goodbye.